Watched it. What was your reaction?
First of all, I watched every bit of it, all 2 hours of it. It was incredibly compelling. It's got me looking very much forward to the series continuing. I was talking to Chris Paul a few weeks ago, who somehow, some way had seen all of it before it even came about. Somebody got him the DVD or whatever, and he couldn't stop raving about it. He was like, "You got to see it." I mean, it was, and then to watch it, it was incredibly compelling. The one thing that resonated with me, obviously, was, you know, the storyline, the plot within the story, where O.J. was like, "I'm not black, I'm O.J. Simpson." It resonated with me because on several levels. A, he was embraced by Hollywood and by the vast majority of white society because he disassociated himself from his race, which is something a lot of black folks lament time and time again. It's one of the things the African-American community monitors about black athletes or black individuals in very influential positions. Your willingness to disassociate yourself from your own, to act like you are not a part of us and who we are, it resonates very, very profoundly. It's very piercing. It's something that hurts us as a community when it's done. And we're always reminded that some way, somehow, someday, you will be reminded at some point of exactly who you are to a lot of folks out there. The fact that his friends were willing to say that they saw it at a very early period of time with him, that it was something that was a goal of his, that when he heard white folks saying it, he actually applauded it. He loved the fact that he was known as O.J. and not being a black guy. His unwillingness to join Dr. Harry Edwards and John Carlos and Tommy Smith and their protest of the '68 Olympics because of it. All of those things resonated profoundly. And the reason why it resonated so much was because when the trial took place and he was on trial for double murder, one of the defenses, you know, they were relying, one of the methods they were relying upon was his blackness with that jury and how it would come to be, whether it's Mark Furman and, you know, the racism that he spewed out of his mouth purportedly, whether it was, you know, him being on trial and speaking against the LAPD and bringing in the LAPD's history with African Americans within that city that we learned with this particular documentary dated back to the 50s and 60s and what have you. It was very educational. It was very enlightening. And it just said to me that it's must see because it's not just about O.J. It's about so many other layers that affect our nation's or that played a significant role in our nation's history. Not just we are where we are, but where we were. And O.J. somehow, some way in a roundabout way, allowed them to illuminate that reality significantly to a point where I think it's a must watch and it's an education for all of us about what exactly the city of Los Angeles was like, what exactly America was like, and more importantly, what it's like for a black athlete, the pressures that come with it, et cetera, but also how some within our own community literally have no desire to be recognized as individuals emanating from our community.
Before I follow up on all that you just said there, allow me to say I found this absolutely riveting. And I wasn't really ready for just how riveting it was. I'd heard nothing but great things about it, but my measuring stick when I watch a movie in a theater is, do I look at my watch? I'm watching in my living room where I got plenty of time where I can roam. If I feel like it, I didn't roam. I didn't look at my watch. Right. And the key details that were shocking to me, that because I'd never heard them, O.J.'s father was a gay man, that O.J. in high school actually stole the girlfriend of his best friend, Al Cowlings, right in front of his face. And that became his first wife. And then I also found it chilling that I believe it was a friend of Nicole said that after her first date with O.J., she came back with ripped jeans after the first, and I believe she was still 18 years of age.
18
Wow.
years of age, and said he was aggressive.
Yeah, okay. Now, back to what you were speaking of. That was the flashpoint line was, I'm not black, I'm OJ. Whoa. And I immediately thought of you and what your reaction was going to be to that line. And what struck me was the juxtaposition, because the documentary does such a great job of placing OJ in a racial time in Los Angeles, California. But remember, there's a bigger picture going on. God rest his soul, but we just went through a week honoring the great Muhammad Ali, and it was in 1967 in April that Ali took his stand against getting drafted in the military, and right on schedule. USC rising superstar is O.J. Simpson, who is going out of his way to hang out with all the movers and shakers who are USC alums who help run many studios in Hollywood. Wow. So he is going the exact opposite direction that the great Ali is going and embracing it. No, I'm not black, I'm OJ. So, Stephen A., I ask you, how did it leave you feeling about OJ? I know you have mixed emotions, but where did it leave your, because as I always tell you, obviously I can't even begin to relate or feel what you feel because I'm not black. So I was curious, where did it leave you at the end of the night feeling about this man and his life and times?
That he was a complete sellout.
Okay.
That he was somebody that hated his own. That he wanted to be something that he wasn't, which was white. That's what it left me feeling. And it also left me feeling like, although I am fully cognizant of the fact that black folks in L.A., and particularly members of that jury during his double murder trial in the 90s, certainly were not, they weren't cheering for him. They were cheering that the LAPD was put on trial and the LAPD was being exposed for its transgressions.
Right.
The bottom line is that it still came across to a populace in our nation that you came to the support of a double murderer who only remembered his blackness when he was trying to get off on a murder charge, that he never gave a damn about you prior to that. So we didn't look too smart in supporting him the way that we did. That's what I walked away thinking.
And what are your emotions about the OJ who still today is passing the days in prison? Do you have any sympathy for that man?
Not a little bit.
Okay.
I've often said, and there's a lot of people in the black community who disagree with me, but I've often said that if I was on that jury, we'd still be there, because I wouldn't have voted him not guilty. I think he's guilty. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I think that O.J. Simpson killed Ronald Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. And my heart goes out to Ronald Goldman's father every time I see him, because that man lost his son. And of course it goes out to the family of Nicole Brown Simpson as well. Mm-hmm. Please don't get me wrong, but I'm just thinking along the lines of, this man got off with double murder. I believe that the evidence was clear, and I've often been on the record saying this. Anybody can call me what they want to call me. I have profound respect for the late Johnny Cochran, God rest his soul. But if it might be the cockiest thing that I've ever said. Christopher Darden and Marcia Clark did an absolutely horrendous job as prosecutors. Because if it were me, there's no way in hell Johnny Cochran would have beaten me with that evidence that they had. I'm telling you right now, I'm not even a lawyer. There is no way that you would have put 12 jurors in front of me with that evidence, and I would have lost to even to Johnny Cochran. I'd have won that trial. I've often said that, because I think OJ's guilty as hell, and he should be under the jail. And I think it's kind of bogus that they got him in jail for this long period of time over stealing his own, stealing his own stuff. I think that's bogus, but he was stupid. He should have left the country the second that he got off and just went on with his life. But he stayed around. Dumb. He deserved what he got.
Series is phenomenal. Thank you guys for your thoughts. And if you want to set your DVRs, the next episode, part 2, is Tuesday, 9 Eastern on ESPN. We'll continue to react to these here on First Take, so watch with us. Coming up next, Charles Barkley comes to the defense of Draymond Green after this incident with LeBron in Game 4. You'll hear what Sir Charles